I am going to walk about a mile down that hill, and we are going to go and light a fire as soon as it gets dark. The sun is going to set in, I think, about an hour or so. Yeah, it's just kind of teetering on the edge. So it should be a lovely sunset. And I'm happy to have you here with me. If you watching are an actual friend of mine and you know me, then hit me up. Let's camp. Let's hike. Let's cycle. I want to do, basically, I want to get the boat over to France, take my tent, take my bike, take all that shit. And ideally, I just want to cycle east until I get to either Belgium or Germany or the Netherlands, one of them. And yeah, I can just bring my little tent with me, wild camping, some little forests on the beach maybe, and have a nice time. Because I don't really like camping in campsites. I feel like it's essentially, what is the fucking point? If you're camping in a campsite, you might as well just camp in your back garden. You know, like it kind of, I don't know, to me, camping in a campsite defeats the point of camping when you have a landowner that is giving you rules and laws and regulations, when essentially camping is just all about this. Just nothing. Just the land, the way it was, the way it is, the way it was made, the way it was forged, and nothing else. I mean, all this over here, this is all town. There's Brighton is down that way. Further over is Dover. Further over is Dover's. There's only one. Then we've got like Worthing, Ferring, Goring, East Preston, Angmering. Go miles down there, you've got Chichester. If we go up that way, got Haywards Heath, Burgess Hill. We go even further that way, we've got London. And that way is Portsmouth, even further. And yeah, I mean, if I went any further on, would be kind of in Wales. But yeah, I like it here, and I think I'm going to do this a bit more often. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you are doing well. I actually genuinely hope you're doing well, because I'm doing alright. I'm still struggling, like, you know, mental health is still difficult, anxiety, addiction, all that kind of stuff. It takes a long time to get through. And I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's going to take an awful lot, and I'm really, really trying. I'm getting through the pain. I'm soldiering on. So, and what more can you ask from a 21-year-old, really? Being candid with you, I've been through a lot lately. My health is suffering, not any fault of my own, surprisingly. Nothing I've actually done. It's basically, I had problems with my ears all my life. So when I was a kid, in my right ear, I used to get infections like every winter. I was always on antibiotics for it. And it's just been generally poor. So like, if I get any water in my ears, I get infections, and it's not great. Over my life, the quality of my hearing has just kind of gone down and down and down, ever so slowly and slightly, so much that got to the point where I'm now 21 and I didn't realise that I was deaf in the left ear. And I've been to many doctors about it. None of them have really said anything. But last year I was incapacitated for about a month, where I had this pain in the back of my head. It kind of went from the eyebrows around to the back, but it was mostly in the back of the head and the neck. And so my aunt is a physiotherapist, and we worked through things. We tried to ease up my neck. I took painkillers for the head. I took all sorts of pills. Nothing really worked. Because basically, found out about a month ago, it was meningitis. Bacterial meningitis, which essentially is because my eardrum, both eardrums, are completely collapsed. The eardrum in my left ear is so collapsed and so fucked that it's basically resting on the bones, which have ground away, which is why I can't really hear anything. So I need reconstructive surgery in both of my ears and my nose, which is quite scary, really. And I didn't know last year that I had the meningitis because I went to A&E with this, like, the headache was so bad that I couldn't really open my eyes or move or talk or think without genuinely screaming in pain. Like, I would be up all night, every night, just screaming my head off. It was that bad. And I lived alone, so went to the doctors. They said, you got a headache, have some painkillers. I went home, was in tremendous pain for a month, and it cleared up. Then this year it came back again. I called an ambulance because I wasn't taking any shit. They took me in, they did a CT scan, and my entire head was inflamed. It was all infected, the whole thing. The entire noggin, it was just, it was terrible. And so he found out that basically where my eardrum had collapsed, the bacteria got in and just went rampant through my head. So I now have chronic meningitis, which is not great when you're 21. So I'm kind of trying to get through that. I've come to terms with the fact that it is a long-term health problem. I do suffer with it every single day. I mean, like right today I've got a headache, and I've got like a sniffy nose. It's fine. It's basically the same as hay fever right now. But some days it's not fine. And that's something that it's okay to speak about. You know, I sometimes feel a bit wrong sharing intimate things like this with people, but there are people that, you know, you might have a similar thing. You might have a health issue that's getting you down and you feel like no one cares, but people do care. I don't care if you care about my health issues, but I care. And I want you to know, because if I drop dead tomorrow, and speaking of dropping dead, apparently, bacterial meningitis, it can kill you like overnight, instantly. And when I had it last year, I had it for a month, untreated. I was on antibiotics this year. When I had it this year, I was on the drip. I was in hospital for a week. They sorted me out. But last year, I had it untreated for a month. And looking back on it, like, I felt like I was going to die. That was the closest I've come to death in my entire life. That feeling of like, it felt as if my head was just so pressurized, but it was also made of concrete and filled with concrete at the same time. I could have fucking died. And now I'm here, like on top of a hill, and I'm so grateful for that. I think I'm going to go back to the Forest of Dean with a friend, because I'm not going to lie, I've been quite lonely lately. And again, it's one of them things where I feel silly mentioning it, because in today's day and age, no one is allowed to feel lonely. You know, you have everybody on your phone, you have so many towns and houses and clubs and pubs around. You're not allowed to be lonely. But I am. And normally I'm okay in my own company. Like, I spent a year in my own company. I've spent many trips. I've gone travelling on my own. I've done these things on my own. And it's been great. But I sort of feel like now I want to share it with someone. If it's a friend or a partner, it really doesn't matter. And I've got friends that I'm going to go camping with. My friend Caius, my friend Ollie, and my friend John. Independently. My friend Bay. We're going to go camping separately. You know, like I've got people that I'm going to travel with, but part of me just feels like if it isn't here right now, then it doesn't exist. And it's difficult to live like that when you have anxiety, because nothing is ever here right now. Everything is in the future. Everything. The past doesn't exist. Everything is in the future. Right now is like this tree, this microphone, the grass. That is all that is right now. So any promise, any idea, any hope, it's hard, isn't it? It is difficult. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm taking steps to have little adventures on my own, to give me some dopamine, to give me some stories to tell, to give me some knowledge and some, faith, I guess. Maybe a better way to put it is like confidence, the more I travel, the more I feel confident. There's a big patch of woods over there, just by the sea. You probably saw it in the last shot, where it kind of goes from the main road down south towards the coast. And I was just there earlier today, I checked it out for camping. The woods were a bit too sparse to camp there, but it was really nice. And now I'm looking at it all the way over there, about a mile or two away, down on the coast. And it's not scary. It's not like out the question. It's not something that's beyond me, because I was there with my own 2 feet. And it's nice, like looking out and knowing the land and understanding what it means, like what it means to be on top of a chalk-capped hill, what that means for the weather, the kind of winds I'm going to get, the animals, especially the plants. Just down there where I'm camping, it goes straight down the hill, and because of the water runoff, there's so many ferns, there's so much vegetation, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to show you. I've spent the past hour or so down the woods gathering firewood, so I will see you in the woods. So, got a fire going, and my right knee is absolutely fucking scorching right now. Now, there is going to be a screening at the degree show of Ravensbourne University, where they're going to show all of the films and the TV shows that people made for their degree, and Breathing Grounds is going to be part of that. So if you're at Ravensbourne Uni, or if you live in London, then absolutely come along. You can book a ticket, search it online, or just contact me. I also just want to give some gratitude, because my trailer for Breathing Grounds has hit something like 500-600 views, which is fucking crazy. Like, if the actual film gets that many views, I'll be over the moon. We recorded a roundtable podcast interview kind of thing with all members of the crew, and that is up on my channel now. A few people watched it, a few people enjoyed it, and that is more than I could ever ask for. I had a great time working with that crew, and they really taught me so much, and I taught them a lot, and the land and nature and the animals taught all of us. So again, I cannot emphasize how much I can't wait for you to see it. And I'm probably going to leave this fire now and get in bed, because my knee is absolutely burning up. I was just looking back on that footage that I filmed, and I've just found that my head isn't in shot, but I don't have enough firewood, so that is what you're getting. Good morning. How did you sleep? I slept, and that is what's important. Good night's sleep is only as good as the morning. Just make that up. Don't know what it means, but it means something. What you can see around me, these gorgeous little things, these are called bluebells. And you most likely know what they are, you've most likely seen them before. But what you might not have known is that a lot of the bluebells in the UK are actually invasive Spanish bluebells. These, however, these are English, and you can tell by the fact that the English ones, they kind of droop down, and they have the flowers on one side of the stem. The Spanish ones, they tend to kind of sit upright, they go straight up, and they have flowers on both sides of the stem. Now, is there a big difference? Not really. Does Brexit mean Brexit? Unfortunately, it does. And what that means is English bluebells, baby. How am I feeling today? Feeling pretty good. I woke up here. How can you not feel good when you wake up here? I woke up in my little bivvy tent. I unzipped it. I sat up, because you can't sit up without unzipping it. It's a bit like a coffin, but I kind of love it. And I just sat up, and I was immediately surrounded by this absolute gorgeous nature. It's worth pointing out that this land here is private. It wouldn't look this pretty if it was public. which is one of the reasons I'm not a proper Marxist, because I believe that with the over-industrialisation and commercialisation of land, there needs to be privately held sanctuaries like this for 21-year-old kids like me to come break into and camp. I did leave no trace, however. I lit a fire, but I dug a pit, I filled it in, I covered everything up. It's really important if you do wild camp, do not leave any trace, don't leave any marks, don't damage anything, because it just kind of ruins it for everyone. It tells people that you were there, which is not what you want. You want to be a force of nature, you want to be a mammal that set up camp. You don't want to be a human that's being annoying. So I hopped a barbed wire fence, which was just over there. I got through a gate which had a rather rudimentary security system, and I came in here. So I don't know how commonly known the practice of coppicing is. However, coppicing is basically when you get a tree and it's gone up and it's a thick trunk, and you see that thick trunk and you're like, what the fuck can I do with that? I can't build a fence out of that, it's a thick trunk. So you cut it down to about knee height, and then the next spring loads of tiny new shoots, kind of the size of this one here, and they go straight up from the tree, and then they're bendy, they're flexible, they can be used for construction, for firewood, and then you could just keep harvesting year after year. And it's good for the trees, honestly. It promotes like fresh growth, it promotes expansion of the tree. And there is a tree just over there. It shares the same leaves as this one here, and I'm not entirely sure what it is because I grew up in London, but I will get you an identification and it will be up on the screen. Essentially, that one tree over there, it has been coppiced so many times over the years that it's just gone wide. It's just spread out, and the actual base of the tree is incredibly big for the size of the tree, and I just thought it was quite actually wonderful. So I took some footage of that. The camera is actually currently resting on the stump of an old coppice tree. There I can actually see maybe about 7 trunks within that tree that had been coppiced, and you can tell because it's a flat mechanical cut. However, that tree did not come back to life, as you can see, because there are no stems coming out of it. Sometimes that happens, but when that happens, the tree gets relegated to the position of tripod, which it is doing very good at, as you can clearly see. I'm happy in this moment. I know I might not be happy in the next moment, but I am in this one. And that is really, really important to recognise whenever you have those fleeting moments of comfortability, like me on this tree. Could not be more at peace than here, could not be happier than I am here. Still, there's like an itching in my brain that tells me that once I go back home and things kick off, not at home, just in my head, it'll be difficult. And I'll wish that I were back here where all I had to think about was the invasion of bluebells and the cutting down of trees. And those should be life's only problems and life's only mysteries, but unfortunately they're not. So you have to live with that. How are you? Because this video has been a lot about my mental health and my physical health. But I've neglected to actually ask how you are. I mentioned earlier that whoever you are watching this, you're a person. And even if you just clicked on it and you don't know me, even if you don't live in England, even if you don't speak English, even if you're not from Earth, you're still watching this video, which means that to me, in my heart, you're right here with me. And it's quite beautiful in a way, but it also creates this distance where the viewer feels like they're not entitled to be here. And you are. If you leave a comment, you're leaving a comment while sat here next to me. You're not leaving a comment on the internet at home, on your phone, on your laptop. You are here. That's the magic of the camera and the microphone. And I find quite a lot of beauty in that. So basically, yeah. How are you? This stick, I am not using it because I'm a little wimp. I am using it because a year ago, or about then, I broke my ankle when I was climbing Mount Snowdon, and when I got to the bottom of the mountain, the lovely mountain rescue people, they gave me this. It's half broken, but it still works, and it is absolutely fucking fantastic. If you do any amount of walking, get yourself one. Don't know how expensive they are, because I got this for free, but I've learnt, since I've broke my ankle, I've learnt to value an ankle so much more than I ever have, and I just don't want to give it up again.